What's going on, world? DS1 Ross back, back here again tonight. Sheep Stay Sleep TV. Check out my Sheep Stay Sleep TV podcast on Anchor, on the Anchor app. All you have to do is download the Anchor app on to your mobile device and just type in Sheep Stay Sleep TV. And I have a podcast there every day. You know, just a morning word or my morning thoughts. So y'all can tune into that too. Y'all also can stay in tune with my Facebook group. That's Sheep Stay Sleep. That's where I post all my content and other content creators. So y'all can stay in tune with me there. Welcome back to Sheep Stay Sleep TV here on YouTube. I'm your host, DS1 Ross. I also want to thank y'all for tuning into the Black History Month series. Very much appreciated. The Black History Month series of 2018. I appreciate everybody who supported that. Tonight, gonna have an open panel discussion. So anybody who wanna join a panel, you're free to do so. Just drop your email in the chat and I will send you the link. We having an open panel discussion tonight on rites of passage. Rites of passage. Is it needed or not needed in today's society? Rites of passage. I know that's something we hear a lot or we've heard a lot of. And I think that Black people, we pretty much lost that in our culture, having a rites of passage. My opinion is I definitely think that we should implement a rites of passage. You know, a lot of other nationalities have a rites of passage. And I think rites of passage is good because it helps cultivate our children in a more positive and effective way. It affects their thinking, it affects their actions, and it affects it molds the way they see the world. And it's all based on their culture. See, we've lost our culture as a group of people. So we lost the rites of passage. We've lost things that we should be doing at a certain age, things that we should understand. We're just a lost people. You know, we're just lost sheep. And I think one of the things that keeps children on the right path is having a rites of passage. Because if you look in other cultures, they have a rites of passage for their children. So I think definitely it is needed today. You may have some people who say it's not needed. Well, tonight we're going to explore this. We're going to talk about this. We're going to explore the issue and we're going to talk about it. So like I said, it's an open panel discussion. Anyone who would like to join, they're welcome. Y'all welcome to join. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Everybody who's watching right now, I appreciate it. I appreciate also if you was to hit the like button. And if you would like to join the discussion, Put your email in the chat, and you definitely could join the panel. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to start out with defining what is a rites of passage. What is it? A lot of us have heard of it, but a lot of us don't really know. So let's see, what is rites of passage? Let's look it up. Let's get the definition. Because sometimes we think we know what something is, and we really don't. So let's look up rites of passage. Okay, let me share my screen with y'all. Okay, it says rites of passage, ceremonies that mark important transitional periods in a person's life. Just that alone, just that alone describes the power in having rites of passage. Because a lot of times we celebrate a lot of the wrong things. And to each his own, people who celebrate holidays and stuff like that, I celebrate it too, just for my children and stuff like that. And how my wife grew up and stuff like that. So if you want to celebrate holidays and stuff like that, I'm not really into all of disputing with all of that stuff, because to me that stuff is trivial. But we must begin to, you know, have ceremonies on important transitional times in our life. We don't do that anymore. You know, our rites of passage now is when you turn 21, which for most Black people, that's not the first time they drank. But for some of us, is the first time you drunk some Hennessy. Or you have a 30th birthday party where you go and get all wasted and drunk and high. So our rites of passage be at the club. We we use that as a place to celebrate and have a ceremony. But the definition of it is ceremonies that mark important transitional periods in a person's life, such as birth, puberty, marriage, having children, and death. Rites of passage usually involve ritual activities and teachings designed to strip individuals of their original roles and prepare them for new roles. Now, just digest that for a minute, family. Ritual activities. Your rituals that you do goes back to your culture. And I just said a little while ago that Black people have lost their culture. We don't know what our culture is. So this is why we don't have rituals and teachings, teachings, teachings. It's another thing that's key. Designed to strip individuals of their original roles and prepare them for new roles. Now, see, this is kind of hard for a lot of people to digest today, because a lot of us don't know our roles. A lot of us think that roles are no longer important because that's what society has engineered people to think that the woman can play the role of a man and the man can play a role of a woman. And that children are just children and they don't have roles to play in the family. You see? Or the roles of a woman is just to be domestic. Or the roles of a man is just to be out in the field. See, these were roles that were given to us. And as you can see, the way society is engineered today, those roles have been reversed. So, do you see the importance of rites of passage? Because if we had a rites of passage, we would be teaching the new roles that a person should have when they become a man or when they become a woman. That way, we're not caught up on what society is telling us we should be doing, what roles we should be playing. What's the role of a son? What's the role of a daughter? See, we let TV and society dictate that. And that's because we don't have a rites of passage. Where the Jews who have a rites of passage, they don't follow the roles that society has designed everyone to play. That's because their culture is still intact. Germans, Russians, even a lot of Africans, especially the Africans that come from Africa to live in America, they already understand their roles. Their men and women understand their roles. They lose the sense of their roles when they come here and become Americanized. But they understand their roles because they come from a culture that has rites of passage. You see? So we supposed to have ceremonies for birth. I guess that's what we consider baby showers. I guess that's what we call that. Puberty. In the Jewish community, when a boy turns 13, he has a bar mitzvah. You see? Marriage, having children, and death. You see? But we don't have these things no more. We celebrate in a detrimental way. Well, I can't really say that because it's all the way you look at it, you know? But I think we celebrate these things a certain way because we don't have a sense of rites of passage. You see? So let's look at what are the three stages of a rites of passage. It says the three phases is separation, liminality, and incorporation. Now, don't you see that in every other culture but us? Here in America, the black people that are here in America, don't we see that? There is no separation for us. And there's definitely no incorporation, but you can see that with other people and their people because the children are taught these things. From the time a Jewish boy turns 13 years old, he's being taught then how to become a man. What is it he's supposed to be doing for his family? What type of person he's going to become? All of those things are developed at a young age, not when he graduate college, not when he graduate high school. He's coming in with these things on his mind when he's entering high school because you start high school when you're about 13, 14. So we have to really pay attention to these things and look at our situation. Some of us may never become incorporated, but you have all these other cultures who have rites of passage. They come to America and they do these things. I'm not too sure on what liminality means, so let's look up liminality. Liminality is the quality of ambiguity or disorientation that occurs in the middle stages of rites when participants no longer hold their perishable status but have not yet begun the transition to the status they will hold when the rite is complete. So it's like a middle stage, basically. It's like in between you going from a boy to a man. They're even taught in that stage. Each stage you're supposed to be taught because we just looked up the definition of rites of passage. And teachings and rituals come with rites of passage. You see? See, it says during a rite's liminal stage, participants stand at the threshold between their previous way of structuring their identity, time, or community and a new way. You see? So it's like from boys to men, or from young man to full adult. I'm going to say that. Not boys to men, but from a teenager to a young adult, and from a young adult to a grown man. That's the liminal stage. How many of us is teaching from that age? A lot of us isn't because we're not focused on having a rites of passage. But every other culture who's successful here in America they come with their own rites of passage. So we have to understand just how important it is. Some people say it's no longer needed. I disagree. I disagree. You know, I disagree, family. Just off the definition alone, why don't we need that today? Our children, our families is in an uproar. It's chaotic. And it's because we don't have the proper structure. Rites of passage provide structure. Just imagine if we as parents had the rites of passage. Imagine how, you know, more focused and structured our children would be if we implemented it, if it was passed down through generations. Just imagine. And of course, we've lost our culture, due to slavery and a whole bunch of other things. But we still, as parents today, have the right and have the time to implement a rites of passage program for our children. We have that right. We can do that. There's nothing wrong with it. I'm not saying you got to put your child out in the woods and tell him to find his way back, because this is not Africa. So we not talking about that. But we should demand that our children have and know certain things by a certain age. This is just a fact. We must have this, because what it's going to do is it's going to get our children mentally prepared and physically prepared to deal with the world. Why do you think these other cultures' children are prepared for the world? Why do you think so? Why do you think the Jewish boy don't worry about going to school to come out and get a job? He goes to school to become something more. The Chinese, the Japanese, they don't go to college to come out and work at a goddamn corner store or work at McDonald's. They don't come out for that. They come out of school and be engineers. They come out of school and be bankers. They come out of school and be scientists. It's because how they were groomed. You see? I went to school with a couple Asian kids, and when we were young, because I'm talking about elementary school, when we were young, man, they never came outside. They didn't come outside. They stayed in the house all day and studied. Very vigorous training. But this is why the Asians are on top. Shit, the Chinese is running Africa right now. Why? Because the rites of passage that they children went through. You see? Look at the Russians, look at the Germans. A lot of them are scientists. A lot of them go into politics. How can our children be a part of society in an effective way if we haven't prepared them? They have to go through that training. This is what rites of passage is. This is what it is. A lot of us are too lackadaisical as parents. And we don't want to teach and tell our children, you must know certain things by a certain time. And not letting the school system just push them along, because that's what the school system does. It just pushes them along and then push them the hell out. And then they're forced to deal with situations that they weren't prepared for. We cannot keep doing this to our youth, family. We can't. It's a lot of young boys now, 15, 16 years old. They don't know how to fight. This is why it's high in gun crime, because they don't know how to fight. But see, growing up, if a black boy went to karate school, we clowned him. Oh, you can't fight? That's why you gotta go learn how to fight. But all our children should be in some type of structural defense. Yes, take your child to be taught how to fight, to be taught how to properly defend themselves. Why do you think they took out vocational training in schools? Me and my dad went to the same high school. When I went to the high school, they changed the name to Paul Robeson. Before, it was called Alexander Hamilton, which was a vocational training school. This is why a lot of dudes my age, we are not good with our hands, because they took vocational things and replaced it with the computer, with technical things. So a lot of us don't know how to fix an engine, don't know how to fix your washing machine if it break, don't know how to fix pipes, don't know how to put together things. You see? But our parents who had these vocational skills didn't teach us. Because you know what they believed in? They thought that the school system would get to a point where that stuff is obsolete. And it became obsolete. And guess what? This is why you have a lot of us black men that can't work certain jobs, because we lack certain skills. But in some cultures, you learn how to fix things at 10 years old, because it's in the fabric of the culture. You have grown women who can't cook a pot of rice without burning it. Why? Because they weren't taught. You see? Because we believed in society growing past certain things, thinking we don't need those skills. You see? And a lot of our parents who has the vocational skills don't have the technical skills. This is why you have mothers and grandmothers who don't know how to send a text message on a cell phone, don't know how to send an email. And see, these things are prevalent in society now. We need to know how to do these things, because most jobs you have to apply for now, you have to apply for them online. So if you don't know how to navigate and use the computer, you asked out. But you also asked out if you driving on a road and your car get a flat tire and you can't fix the flat tire as a man. But these are the things that's taught during rites of passage. And this is not to blame anyone. This is just to show people what we're dealing with as a people, and why other cultures are ahead of us too, even in the job market. Who do y'all think run the Bitcoin? Chinese. They're the ones who create the blockchain and the mining of the Bitcoin. They control all of that stuff. Why? Because their children went to school for the technology to create the blockchain, and then you have the vocational training for them to actually go and create the machines and how to connect them and run them. You see? This is why we're not at the forefront of certain things, because the lack of rites of passage. Shout out to everybody in the chat. I'm gonna come to the chat now. Like I said, if y'all want to join this conversation, drop y'all emails. Drop y'all emails in the chat, and I'll send y'all the link so y'all can join. Also, To all my mods, copy my Streamlabs link that's in the description and put it out there in case anybody want to donate tonight. Y'all want to donate to me? Y'all just click my Streamlabs link and y'all could donate. So all my mods, copy that link and start promoting it through the chat. It'd be very much appreciated. What's up, Derrick O'Morris? Peace to Black Beauty. Peace to my brother Rob, the educator. Triple Darkness, salute. Peace to my brother, the Truth Hurts podcast. Mods, make sure y'all copy that link out my description. Exactly, brother Rob. It's not, our culture is not defined by us. That's a fact. Shout out to Elm City. Yup, they do keep their traditions going. They do because their cultures are intact. Ours isn't, bro. A co-worker of mine gave me a book he got from his bar mitzvah, How to Win Friends. And exactly. You see? You see? Look at the name of that book, brother Rob. That's crazy. How to Win Friends and Influence People. You see? That's a transitional book. Go back to the definition of rites of passage. So when a Jewish boy turns 13, he's in a transitional period. He went from a kid to a teenager now. So he had a book that was given to him to how to gain friends and influence people from the time he was 13. That's interesting. That's interesting. And then you wonder why the Jews have such a big network. It's because of books like that. Yeah, that will be a good pickup too. Oh yeah, Cap. Shout out to Cap too. Shout out to Savine B. Sorry for missing you, mama. Oh yeah, Cap. Yeah, we know that they the fake Jews. We know that. We know who they are. We know who they are. Shout out to my brother Dollar Skills, home team, home team. It does, Nerd Live. Shout out to Nerd Live, home team. It does. It sets cultural expectations. It does. Well, if you wanna get on Dollar, just drop your email in the chat, bro. I'll send you the link and you could touch on it. You too, Nerd Live. Anybody who want to join this conversation, it's an open panel. Oh, I got you. I got you, brother Rob. I see you. Sending it to you right now, bro. Just give me a second. Go. I just sent the link to you, brother Rob. Just sent the link to you, bro. Yep. Sure do, Dollar. Shout out to Living Soul Journey. Mm-hmm. They keep see what you saying, Dollar, is you just describing that they keep their culture intact. Jewish set society up for their advantage though. That's what I mean. Yeah, Jewish. Yeah, they have. They have. They have. And I'm not mad at them for doing that. I'm not mad at them for doing that. They can't because they understand what America is, Cat. Well, the United States. This is a corporation. Anybody, so and think about it. Anybody who anybody work for in this chat, don't you pretty much have to follow their customs and their ways of life and their culture? It's just something that we need to get into. You know what I'm saying? We need to get into doing the same thing. Mm. Yo, Dollar, man, you need to jump on this panel, man, so you could break that down, bro. Let the people hear it. Peace, brother Rob. How you, bro?
Man, I'm all good, fam. I'm all good, man. I was just trying to make sure that I was on. But man, brother, how you?
Man, I'm good, man. I'm good, man. I'm good. How
Okay.
you been, man?
Man, brother, been mad busy and that's a good thing because I know that I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing, you know what I'm saying? I don't have a whole lot of wasted time, you feel me? You know. But man, I've been listening to you, and I mean, I feel like I got strong opinions on the topic tonight, but just in general, I don't know if you had caught my last stream, man. I'm just really I'm kind of fed up with brothers being loose at the mouth and talking real reckless on YouTube. You know what I mean? So I'm just really delighted tonight that you came with this topic. This would be more along the lines of a solution. You know, to a plethora of problems that we have, and we got to start somewhere. So this would be foundational. You know what I mean? And it's something that we could start tomorrow. You know, so I'm delighted to speak on the topic. I'm gonna fall back, to let you set it up and everything. But I definitely got strong opinions on the topic tonight, though.
Well, good looking, brother. As always, you know, you brother Rob, the educator. So I would definitely like to hear what you have to say about it. And, bro, just let it rip, man. I pretty much set the show up, with defining rites of passage and I dropped what I wanted to drop about it. So you here now, bro. So let it rip, bro. I'm gonna mute my mic.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So hopefully I'm coming through clearly and everybody can hear me. Um, Number one, I feel like uh, our number one problem in the Black community, African American community, Aboriginal community, it is that you claim to be, whatever that community is that you claim to be in. Our number one problem is cultural identity. And so to make it simple, to put it in layman's terms, we can't move as a group because everybody don't want to be in a group, you know? So that's, to me, that's our number one problem. We have to be able to define, like you were saying earlier, our culture. You know, Dr. Wade Noble, the brother have a very powerful idea on defining reality. He say, and this would be the definition of power. He says that the power is the ability to define someone else's reality and make them accept it as if it was their own. That is power. And so, because we are so powerless in this society and don't want to deal with that fundamental issue, we look for escapism. And it's in a number of things that plague us. And we use money as a justification because it pretty much supports our survival, but it is a way other than money to survive if we would only work together. I just feel like a lot of times when I'm talking on these different chat rooms and on these different platforms, and no disrespect to anyone else's opinion, right? But we know that fundamentally, if you look in history and look at any time Black people have been socially mobile in this country, you'll see that unity was the thing that helped them be successful, right? So I'll point to two things in history, right? The Haitian Revolution, right? That was definitely, without equivocation, nobody can deny that Toussaint Louverture and them brothers, they were highly successful at getting their independence, you know? And how did they do it? They did it with the spiritual aspect of it. Everybody should be familiar with the story how the brother before the night they go and attack their oppressors, how they around the fire and they and they chanting and they spiritual energy is high and they go into battle and of course they win, you know. And then another point in history. I mean, it's numbers stories that I can point to in history, but the other story that I like to point to because it's been recent that some of these simple-minded, low-level, vibrating brothers on YouTube been talking lately. The civil rights movement, you know, so we have to look at fundamentally what did they change in society and how did they do it, right? Dr. King, who's the cornerstone figure in the civil rights movement, right? How did he do it? Fundamentally, he was a Baptist preacher, and what he did was he got to the moral and ethical reasons on why this Jim Crow system is so wrong. And so he echoed it in white folks' mind to where they couldn't deny it. And what energy was they using? They was using spiritual energy. Don't you see that? No matter how you feel about Christianity and the history of it and all of this kind of stuff, let's think about it for a second though. Get into your, if you can use your imagination, right? If you can use your imagination, right? Think about them people singing them songs as they walk into work because they wouldn't get on them buses. I ain't gonna let nobody turn me around, chanting it, feet hurting. You see what I mean? When they start carpooling, right? You know what I'm saying? And the next thing you know, they impounding them people cars. And what did they do? They kept marching. And forgive me for my language I'm about to use. So if you got virgin ears, I'm sorry because now I'm mad, right? Yeah, these old simple-minded ass niggas on YouTube, you know, talking about Dr. King, talking about Elijah Muhammad, men that did work. work, fam. Elijah Muhammad built the nation and cleaned up tens of thousands of black men and women. And you can visibly see it. You can look into the law and how Thurgood Marshall and Dr. King and Ella Baker and Fannie Lou Hamer and the list go on, how they was looking deaf in the eye and kept moving, kept working. You know it was people sitting on the sidelines talking about, look at them niggas, thinking they gonna pray this shit through. We gonna look, you see what I'm saying? You know it was somebody sitting on the sideline talking shit about Dr. King stirring up trouble. Yeah, look at Megan Evans. See, he didn't went and got his fool ass shot. Look at it. What is his wife gonna do? Not looking at what the work the man was doing. So anybody on YouTube from now on, Seti Young Pharaoh, eventually I done just subscribe to your fucking channel. Go live and start talking shit about some more of our figureheads that did some work. I ain't saying that these men were perfect, but if I was to follow your funny looking ass around, I guarantee you got some dirt on you too. But I ain't looking at your dirt. I'm trying to look at the best in you. And that's what I'm going to lift up to the public. And anything that you doing that's working against our people, right? Hey, I'm on the back chat, I'll come and get at you, fam. I'm going to email you, fam. I'm going to talk to you, fam, man to man, over the phone or some shit like that. Over Facebook. We got so many mediums that we can talk to each other and don't have to air out our dirty laundry so that the whole world can have all of the information to tear down the figures that we've been looking at for leadership for years. That's why it's so important to determine our own culture. That's why it's so important to look at the greatness that these men had in them and not the things that they did wrong. Marcus Garvey, people say that the man rubbed people the wrong way. But he led 15 million. 15 million. And the number could be bigger, but that's what's reported in history. 15 million Africans over here in America together. So whatever you got to say against that man, you better keep that shit to yourself. Because Brother Rob, hey, all that nice guy shit is over. Any of you motherfuckers that want to get on YouTube and have a civil debate, I'll be willing to debate with you, but we ain't never gonna air out the dirty laundry of our figureheads and of our ancestors that can't speak for themselves. They in the ground now. So it's only best for us and best for our children to look at the history of what these people did, the things that they did well, and we keep that. And the mistakes that they made, hey, that's something that we can look at and say, we gonna learn from that. We not gonna do what they did. We gonna do it better. So, that's what I had to say. And then speaking on rites of passage, I'm gonna have to go and find a quote, right? But it's my fault. It's not a quote, but it's something that a tribe in Central Africa have they young men chant, and I gave it to my son when he went off to college. He spent his first year here in Chicago, but then when he went off to Alabama to go to school, I had framed it and put it in there. I'm about to look it up on Google and everything, but I'm gonna fall back. But that's in terms of rites of passage. The first thing we got to do is all agree to work together. Because if I got a rites of passage for my son and your son don't, right? Then how they gonna be able to connect morally, ethically, socially, economically, spiritually? We got to start vibrating on the same frequency. We got to start vibrating. When will it ever be time? When will it ever be time? I say it's now. I say it's now. Did anybody see the story with our brother over there in Asheville? Walking home, got jaywalking, This happened about 6 months ago. But they beat the shit out of our brother because he was jaywalking. When will it ever be urgent? That's what I want to know. When will niggas say that Brother Rob, stop dreaming, we ain't gonna never work together? Dr. King wasn't dreaming. He was working. Booker T. Washington wasn't dreaming. He was working. And we just gotta repeat they work. All right, so with that being said, brother, you know, like I told you in the chat, man, I'm fired up, bro. And I'm fed up. And I'm fed up. So it don't matter what we say on here. Guess what, fam? Tomorrow, fam. Tomorrow morning, G. I'm about to be working. That's what I'm gonna be doing, Joe. I'm gonna be working tomorrow. Tomorrow, fam. Yes, sir. Tomorrow morning. I'm gonna get back to the grind, trying to help our young people believe in themselves. You wanna know why they fail? Because they believe they gonna fail. They believe they thugs. They believe they thoughts. They believe that. They believe it. And it's reinforced through music, through images. When we gonna take control? We got Black Panther. Niggas been tearing down Black Panther for the last 2 weeks. All positive images. But we can't take the good out of it because we think it's so negative and so backwards. So yeah, I can't, man, hey, you know, I'll fall back on this for real, and I'm about to shut the hell up. But Dr. King said, at some point, silence is betrayal. At some point. So with that being said, now I'm about to shut the hell up.
No doubt, brother Rob. We need that, man. That's that fire. We need that passion, man. We need it, man. We need it, man. There's nothing wrong with that, bro. And everything you said was 100 and on point. It's on point, man. So I totally agree, man. Shout out to my brother Dollar Skills, man. Welcome to Sheep Stay Sleep TV. What's going on, bro?
Peace, peace. What's up, good brother? How you?
I'm good brother. It's great to see you, man. First time on the panel. It's a pleasure, bro.
Yeah, man. You know, over some time, man, you've been a good brother through social media, man. And I support the platform. You know, I really don't rock with a lot of people, and it's not because I think I'm better than people. I just have a long-term screening process when it comes to this craziness that goes on YouTube. I'm sure you're aware. So, but I got nothing but love for you, man. You always been peace. You know, I'm digging the topic, and I'm not going to stay long. I just wanted to come in and add my piece to what you brothers was building on. And I'm gonna keep it simple and brief. Yes, it is correct. You know, quote unquote, black people have been stripped of their culture and heritage. We're a lost sheep, you know, and that's not to look at it in the sense of just one specific religion, but just using the terminology as an example. Our people have been stripped of our native tongue. We're placed under a corporate system with a language that we really don't understand because it's not our native tongue. So on the cultural, natural man side, we got a lot of work to do in building up our communities and re-educating or educating our people on certain cultural rites to passage. So that's the natural side. But what I want to add to the topic is more on the commercial side, which is the other side of it, and show how based on looking at things under the terms of the courts. Everybody's heard of Black's Law Dictionary. And I want to say this, I'm not here to give any legal advice. This is just based on self-study and some application of some of these things in regards to understanding what the English language words mean in the courts. Kind of like the Ebonics system in the Black community. certain words that we take for granted in the English language have totally different meanings in courts of law and their application in regards to rights to passage. Let me see if I can give you an example. Generally, in the Black community, we're taught like when you understand something, you kind of get it. In a court of law, when you understand something, that means you agree to be under a certain specific legal principle. So what I'm saying in saying that is the application of the Jewish bar mitzvah, which I was trying to drop in the chat, involves specific forms of people under a cultural practice, quote unquote, knowing their heritage, being given rights to passage through decrees that are issued through specific writs in the family court. So in layman's terms, when a Jewish male turns 13, everyone knows of the bar mitzvah. They are set up with a will and a trust by their father. That will and that trust is then filed in the family court with whatever state they're in. And once that process is complete, a decree is issued by the family court judge, making that specific Jewish individual an overstatesman, whereas blacks are under the state law. And I'll give you a simple example. When you see a lot of the police brutality, you will notice that the cops are quote unquote above the law. This is issued through a similar practice. When they join the force, they have certain documentation filed that makes them overstatesmen. So they're not subjected to the statutory and codified laws under the state. This is why it's hard to prosecute them when going against issues with police brutality against blacks, because blacks are in a political status under the state law. So to add the commercial side briefly, the Jewish bar mitzvah involves a will. And if you know, when we go back to the natural culture aspects of blacks, a lot of blacks don't have wills. Our people don't have much to leave, let alone have the legal knowledge to prepare the proper wills. And we don't understand the laws of trust. So again, for layman's terms, Jewish bar mitzvah involves the parents setting up a will for the child at a very young age. That will is then pushed through the family court, and all of the property that is being passed over to that child is placed in a trust. The family court judge issues a decree, which now makes that individual above the law of the state. If you ever remember Steven Seagal, Above the Law, they were kind of showing you that certain people who know their heritage and cultural rights get those rights to passage because they keep up with these specific rituals that blacks have been totally stripped of and taken away from them.
I appreciate that, brother Dollar Skills. I appreciate that, man. I always love how you bring that legal aspect to it, man, because that's very important. We definitely need to learn that procedure also. I got my brother Chef JT on the panel. Peace to you, brother.
Yeah, peace to everybody. Peace to everybody. Hope everybody doing good. You know, I'm just listening for now. I will come in. I'll let you know.
Salute, my good brother. You already know.
Yo, as always, the educator. As always, thank you so much.
So yeah, this whole rites of passage thing, as y'all just heard from the brother Dollar Skills, is very important. And one thing that he said too, that's very important in today's society, also dealing with us, is we definitely need to enact a will. I just was before I started the show, I was scrolling down my timeline on Facebook, and they had a story where a 6-year-old black boy wrote his own will because he's hearing how that his teachers in school may start carrying guns in the classroom. So I guess the little boy is so terrified that, him and his mom wrote him a will. He's 8 years old. And I think that's very much important because a lot of us don't have life insurance. A lot of our parents have worked all their life and don't really have a great insurance policy. That's why you see in the hood a lot of times when people mother dies or when these young men are being killed, we got to pay for the funeral ourselves. We got to have card games and sell fish plates and chicken dinners at the church, and we have to do all these things just to pay for our people to be buried, let alone for the children to be able to live or sustain themselves just for a few years after these people die. So that stuff is very much important, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Wills lead to legacies, and that's something that quote unquote black people are not leaving behind. They're leaving no legacy, and a legacy begins with a will, an inheritance, and these different terms on the legal side that our people fail to explore more due to a lot of social ills. At the same time, when dealing with these topics and enlightening people, yes, a will is very important. Now, this is where the religious debates get involved, and why, whether you be Islam, Christianity, you see a lot of people not trying to walk away from those religious practices or pushing those religious practices. And then you have the argument that those religious practices is what has kept us in bondage. I'm not here to really debate that. What I'm here to say is, in simplicity, that I always use like the Bible as an example. I like to play the devil's advocate and agree with the adversary. All right, let's say the Bible is negative, or even the Quran for that is negative. It was created by people who want to manipulate people based on religious beliefs, faiths, etc. One thing that I'll say is, if that's true, you should know the enemy's rule book like the back of your hand. Because within those codified expressions of spirituality and religion, etc., is the remedies at large in the courts of law. For instance, we've all heard, or most of us have heard, thy will be done on heaven and in earth. Well, codified in that basic little Bible passage is the remedy that I spoke of, because without a will, you have no rights. If you don't will a thing into your possession, you don't have a legal entitlement to anything. So that's one of the number one things that blacks do not create. They don't create wills and they don't leave legacies. Now, the legal application is when you put the proper will on file with the court, it then enacts certain entitlements that you can will to yourself based on agricultural rights. Because the commercial world is artificial. The natural world deals with agriculture, land, gold, copper, silver, and all of the mineral resources that one's farm may produce. Now, you're not eligible to receive those things based on you being stripped from your heritage and your culture. You've been considered 3/5 of a man based on your lack of not knowing who you are, where you came from, where you're going, and the proper application, understanding the law so you can overstand the law, because you have to first understand something so you can stand over it through knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. So again, wills is very important. You have no rights under any state statute, codified law in black status without having a proper will filed. And if your property is not placed in a proper form of a trust, it is due to confiscation. So you see a lot of asset seizures and forfeitures of property when certain state police investigations are ran. And I'm going to say this last thing and pass it. At the end of 2017, a law was overturned by the new President Trump and the Attorney General involving their right to keep any asset seized under a police investigation involving drug trafficking. Now, on one side, you would say the drug trafficker shouldn't be drug trafficking, and anything he obtains under that should be confiscated. But then on the other hand, this new law enacted and overturned allows them to seize things without prosecution and adjudication on the matter, meaning that if you're even so much as thought to be involved with drug transactions, whether you are or not, and property is seized, the police get to keep it. And that, again, is based on blacks not having any wills filed in the court and not having their property placed in a trust in the proper formation so that it is exempt from taxation, i.e. forfeiture and seizures.
Yeah. Yeah, it's JT. Go more on my brother Don Skills' point is this, that I think go more on his point that we have to know the law. We very uneducated with really what's going on. And plus, I definitely want to bring up, I always talk about generational wealth. That's part of bringing up a generational wealth, that we got to know what the legislation of the banks is too. We gotta know what the CDs, how much they represent for our community, how much deed is on our land. And we gotta learn today, sometimes when we have these life insurance, even if I have, because especially us, as for me, I'll be 52 in a few months. So when we have, sometimes we get these life insurance, we just want to lease it or we want to buy this and that. But when we can hit 20, 30 years or even less than that, when it's time to pay the bills or what, God forbid, something happen to us, we don't have nothing to fall back on. So we have to understand that we gotta let it build up. Because sometimes we keep on leasing. I always say leasing because that's our problem. And so that's what happened to my father. When my father passed away 29 years ago, almost 29 years ago, my mother thought that, okay, we got life insurance and stuff, but he was pinching it out, was buying things like that. So instead of we buried it, we have to scrub up money so he can get cremated. And all the bills was piling up. There's none show for life insurance because of leasing. That's what I urge us as brothers and sisters. Listen to what She Stay Sleep saying, what Rob is saying and stuff. We have to understand to have that substantial mindset that, okay, we're gonna get this life insurance. We're not gonna touch it. So anything happen, we could have them on their burial. So we can get them a good burial, but at the same time, to have money to keep on building up wealth, and then check on these banks, because sometimes some of these banks had loopholes too, and stop taking out for these CDs and these 401k plans because we got to let our money stack. We got to build for the future. We have to understand that this system is not really ours, but we got to make sure that this system is really made for us. When you pay for the cars, okay, they got something to fall back on. When you start a business up, okay, we got something to fall back on. That's how we develop generational wealth. So when is a time that we could build our own land, we could have our own, whatever status it is, we got something to fall back on. Let's stop leasing and saving and build. And sometimes it's going to be hard, but we have to have that mindset. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, I agree totally, brother. And what you said is basically that was the term I gave on the legal side. It's called a legacy. So we're not leaving a legacy behind. And let me just say this real quick, and I'll pass it to Brother Rob about the life insurance. That was a great point. But let me enlighten you to something. When you look at Social Security, if you go into Canada's version of Social Security, it's called social insurance. The minute a Social Security card is issued, you do have a life insurance policy. This goes back into not having wills and trusts. The problem is blacks are not eligible to have the funds that is placed in that life insurance policy because they haven't filed that proper formation within the family court and had the decree issued. And I say that to say this. Money is fiat. It's not backed by gold. So agriculturally, we all heard blacks had a right to 40 acres in the mule. Well, what the government did is the farms are still there and your 40 acres is there, but your eligibility to draw funds based on your agricultural rights has been stripped. So that involves the life insurance or social security in the United States codified law, which is really social insurance. And I'm going to give you a little breadcrumb in regards to that. When a person passes away, you sign a death certificate. The death certificate is the waiver on the funds that was placed in that social trust for the person upon their birth. And I'm going to say this last thing. Parker Brothers' game of Monopoly shows it to you. When you start the Monopoly game and you look at the rules, you don't start off broke. You have a certain denomination of currency that is issued to each player. And then from there, you go around the board and you make your purchases and you set up shop. And he who has the best properties and the best odds when it comes to those properties wins. It's nothing different when it comes to general life in our society and the many societies that have grouped together. Other people who are grabbing their cultural heritage and keeping legacies, they don't worry about bills and things like that because based on the world trust that was set up, all of those things are already covered through agriculture, but blacks are being used for their labor and not given those life insurance policies or social insurance policies. They're waiving their right to it due to lack of knowledge in law, and when they pass away, they sign off on the death certificate, giving all of the funds in the trust back to the state that they were born in.
Great information, bro. Great information, man. Great information. Go ahead, brother Rob.
Yeah, no doubt. And this is just drawing on my experience as a personal banker and a mortgage broker for a number of years. What Dollar Skills is saying is exactly true. To put it in layman's terms, what your family should do, have a little planning meeting, and then y'all centralize the funds. You know, I know I'm dreaming, because that's what everybody say. Oh man, black people will never work together. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, that would be the best idea. You know what I mean? If y'all have a family reunion, hey, let's set up a trust. And every time we had this family reunion, everybody put $50 in. If
Exactly.
you do that over 10 years, you know what I'm saying? You can give uh part of the trust to the Johnsons, part of the trust to the Williamsons, part of the trust to the, do you see what I mean? And then from there, you kept bringing up agriculture. There is no culture without agriculture. Let me say that one more time. There is no culture without agriculture.
Correct.
If we would have listened to Booker T. Washington, and it's still time, his example, very powerful. You'd be the best $15, $20 you ever spend in your life. It's called Up from Slavery. I suggest everybody go and get it. Booker T. Washington said, hey, you ain't got a bed, you ain't got drawers, you don't have no shoes. Don't worry about shoes. We'll make you some once you get here. Don't worry about a bed. You gonna make one when you get here. You see? And it's called country boy ingenuity. Look, right? Everybody got an uncle from the South in their family. This real talk, keep it 100. Everybody got an uncle that can fix any damn thing. It don't matter what it is. You call them, hey, unc, man, hey, my furnace went out. Oh boy, this is what you need. You need an igniter and then change the You see what I'm saying? The nigga got the answer to whatever you call. It's called country boy ingenuity. Let's think about it for a second, right? You live on a plantation. Somebody get bit by some strange animal in the field, you feel me? Ain't no going to the hospital, fam. You think they gonna let niggas in their hospital? Hell no. Grandma and them came up with their own solution right there on the spot, bro. Do you see? That country, so like, everybody want to get away from the country. There is no culture without agriculture. Your culture come from the South. You still talk like them. You know what I mean? You still talk like them. You might be cityfied now. You know what I'm saying? But remember when we were shorties, you go down south, everybody waving at you. Real common shit. Let's break it down and be practical with our solutions. Right now, right? It feel like it's all chaos. And the reason it's like that is because of our perception of the world. A lot of us are looking through white folks' eyes and our African skin. You got to be able to look at the world through your African eyes. That's number one. Like I said, it's got to be cultural identity. You know what I mean? All right. Number two, right? We could talk about trust and, centralizing the funds and all of this kind of stuff. Hey, it might be better to make the bag bigger. And eventually, right? Always check the bag. That's number one, right? But I mean, in any situation, right? Check the bag, right? But it might be smart, if we looking at what's going on economically and politically, right? Because those two things go hand in hand, right? It might be smart to look at what's going on, see where they making their mistake, see where they making their weakness. You know what I mean? And make that a strength of ours and use our numbers that we got right now, because it's about, I say, roughly according to the last census, about 50 million black folks here in America, right? You know what I'm saying? How out of them 50 million, how many of you say got phones? All we have to do is just create one phone company that all black folks using. Cultural identity. I know I'm dreaming again, right? Think about how much money that's gonna create. Think about how many jobs that's gonna create. Think. That's all you gotta do is just think. Think about the shops. Think about the shop owners. Think about the shorties that's this they first job, they selling the phones. Think about the motherfucker that's driving the trucks that's dropping off the phones. Think about, man, do you see what I mean? And if we start producing our own phones, because most of the components come out of the continent of our birth, you know what I'm saying? Let's think about that. Woo! You know what I'm saying? I mean, the possibilities are endless, but we got to have a foundation. And that foundation got to be cultural identity. It got to start there. It got to start there. You know what I'm saying? Another key component, and we could overlook it all we want to. We can look at all we want to. Our spirituality. That's our secret weapon. Today, Sunday, think about around noon in every black community. You know what I'm saying? Think about the energy that's there. You can call Christians crazy all you want to. You can. You know what I mean? You can. But they show up, fam. They organize. They know that that's the day that they supposed to meet. And no matter how much, they might be cheating the pot, you know what I'm saying, giving, right? Man, most people give something. And they give something out of a ideology, a belief system that compels them to do the right thing. So, okay, you're not a Christian, you're not a Muslim, all right, there's something wrong with every belief system. You're not a comedic science dude. I don't give okay, so what? What is going to compel you to do the right thing? That's the most important shit. What's going to compel you? to unify with your brother. Look for the greatness in them and pump them up. What's going to compel you to do that? That's the number one thing, Joe. We could talk about, not belittling the point at all, dollar skills. That is a key component to transferring wealth. Because, once daddy passed away, you know what I'm saying? God rest his soul. That's an eventuality in life. You know what I'm saying? Where there's life is death, it's balance. You know what I mean? But, when he passes away, that income is also gone. So that policy, that trust, you know what I mean? That people say I'm dreaming that we can't never build. If you don't build it, you're not gonna have anything to pass on to put into the trust anyway. You know what I mean? So that's the number one thing. What's gonna compel you to be morally right, ethically right? So then when it's time for this rites of passage, what you gonna pass on to them? How to roll a blunt? How to chop up a 63? How to put a little money away for the lawyer? Because when you out here in these streets, do you see what I'm saying? When we gonna be morally right? What's gonna compel you? What's gonna compel you? Hey man, I don't know. I don't know if something's just hit me like a couple of years ago to where I'm been on this tear. You know what I'm saying? But I just say that I'm compelled to do the right thing. It don't matter what other people do. I'm gonna do the right thing. I don't care what hey, you want to start smoking crack tomorrow? Hey, well, man, brother, hey, I'm gonna tell you, you dumb as hell. I'm gonna tell you that. But I ain't gonna do it. I'm gonna keep being me, fam. That's it, man. I'm gonna shut up now.
Yeah, I just want to say I don't disagree with you there. It's like different. This now let me say this because I wasn't prepared for this. So there's people who may say, well, where are you drawing all of these different terminologies and knowledge from? Of course, I'm in my Black's law. I also have certain canons and PDFs and things that maybe in a future show I can deal with more of the research aspects of where I'm coming from when I speak. But you said it. What you're talking about is group economics. And when you bring up Booker T, it brings me back to many shows that we had on like Israel Doctrine with guys like Pit Boss, who pushes the STEM program and things like that. And group economics is the key. See, our people are divided, of course. So many different religious beliefs, so many different cultural divides and things of that nature. So we tend to not stay together. And what he said was key. A family should have a trust. Now, let me give you, again, I'm pulling these definitions from knowledge that I have. I'll give references in a future show. But for clarity, a will is what happens to property that you've obtained during your life in the event that you pass away. A trust is what you can do with the property while you're still living. That's why on the paper form side or through the electronic filing side of the court system, it's imperative that a family has wills for all of the individuals in the family, because it determines whatever property that they may possess throughout their lifetime. And in the event they pass, it can go on to specific relatives, friends, etc. And a trust, which notifies the government of what you plan to do with the property while you're living. Now, the reason that's important is Black people have had their wires crossed, again, based on so many different things. One mainly being us being out of our native tongue and being really functionally illiterate, because the curriculums in the school and the way we're taught the English language up against the higher tiers of education where people get doctorates and things of that nature and find out the real meanings of these words, or the more widely accepted meanings of the words that we're using, even when having this discussion, is the reason why there's so much division. I'll give an example. Love to me might be based on my experiences in my life. And then love to you may be the same, but because our experience is different, if I say I love you, are you gonna associate the term with your experiences, or are you gonna be selfless and look at it from the perspective of maybe some of the experiences that I have? Because if not, love to me and love to you may be two different things. And then there's an more precise, correct definition of the term. So again, you have three sides to a story. It's your side, my side, and then there's the actual factual definition of the terms. And that's important because we're understanding that we're not, one, leaving anything behind with the proper formation in order to do that to the right people. We're not placing our property that we possess in the right places while we're alive. And I say that to say this. The key with blacks is blacks always want to say, this is my house, this is my car. When you set up a trust, you don't own anything. It belongs to the trust. It's for your benefit, but it stays in a central grouped location. So when you said family setting up a trust, it's a family coming together and taking all of their labor output and placing it together in one big pot for everyone's benefit, but no one individual owns the trust. Now, when those properties are placed in the trust, no one can touch it. See, when things are in for yourself, they're taxable. When things are placed in the right form of a trust, they're non-taxable. Meaning, if I place a house that I've obtained off of my labor in the family trust, no man can take it. No man can tax it. But if I put it in my name based on the formation of how my person is formulated with the IRS, they may be able to put certain taxes, liens, duties, fees, fines, etc. on that property and confiscate it. So it is imperative that, one, we have a will, which is what we can do with property in the event that we pass away and where it should go, which is part of our legacy and our inheritance. And two, we have to give notice in the proper formation of what we plan to do with our property while we're alive and how it's going to be spread out to benefit the group. So it's more of a group thing than an individual self thing. It's a we all in this together. And the best way to do that is to lead by example. Everybody's not going to come along with you, but you could start small. And if you set the right example and people see you shining, people tend to be very materialistic and they go off of what they can see. There's only a few people that look for substance in things. But when you have substance and you put it together, you can produce the material that's needed to make others follow you. So you don't have to have a lot of numbers. You just have to have a lot of like-minded people that believe that if one fails, everybody fails, and believe in placing all of their labor output in the proper trust and letting it be a benefit for that whole group or that whole community, as opposed to one man having all that power.
Agreed.
Well,
Agreed. Go ahead, bro. It's on you, bro. I'll go right after.
Well, okay, good looking. Well, I think the thing is, especially us as brothers, that now I'm in alignment that we gotta learn to trust each other. And we have to also learn that whatever little resources we have, we gotta start from somewhere. We gotta stop saying like, listen, I don't have this, I don't have no. We gotta start from somewhere. This is a crisis, brothers and sisters. We in a crisis. We in an economic crisis. Where all these laws that they passing of economics, they always say this, that the other people catch a cold, we catch a flu. Let's stop having this damn flu, and let's clean up and get rid of this damn flu little by little, so we could be clean again, so we could be clear, near-minded again, like-minded, I mean, and learn about different sectors and different levels of economics that we could pursue and build. The time is now. We have the resources. We had the resources in the past, and these brothers out here, besides me, we try to say something. I'm learning like everybody else. We have to start somewhere. We have to get serious about economics, because the old way that we used to do it is not helping. It is not helping. We have to learn, even like on the eastern shores of this United States, when you go to New York and stuff, when we have like certain little land, we got to learn to grow our own food. We got to learn to have our own stores. We got to learn about have our own banks. We have to be decision players in our own community. We have to make sure that our money going to recycle back in our community, instead of having going back to certain groups that we know that they don't give a damn about us. We have to start now. We got to have these conversations often. And it goes for me too. Wherever opportunities, even on internet, let's take advantage of that. It's there. That's part of economics. Get great content. We impact our community. Should be give a donation here and there. We have to start learning to build for our own. Little by little, brick by brick. And that's all I'm saying. Thank you so much. Appreciate y'all.
Agreed, man. And one thing that you said too, JT, that's true is we definitely have to start trusting each other, because that is the reason why we don't set up trust, or we don't set up we don't set up these monetary things for our family, because our perception on family is flawed, where other cultures look at family as everything. And this is why I was saying at the beginning why rites of passage is important, because like you said, Brother Rob, it keeps our cultural identity. It keeps our children understanding who they are and that they belong to a family. A lot of us just grew up in a family, but never felt like we belonged to a family, you know? So we definitely have to work on trust, because a lot of the things that affect us as a people, it affects us financially. Because like the brother Dollar Skills just broke down, trust is a financial term, but we don't use trust in that way. We look at it like, can I trust you? But if I can't trust you and give you $50 at every family reunion for the next 10, 15 years, and trust that you don't go out and spend it on Christmas gifts, then how is that trust fund gonna ever grow? How is it ever gonna be created? And this is why I think rites of passage is needed today, because it provides us structure, and with structure we have progress. We have actually something constructive to build, or that's building, so we can progress. And as long as we're progressing, our thoughts are going to continue to progress. So if we set this thing up and people see it working, like Dollar Skills just said, people are materialistic. So if people see something is working for you, people in your family going to jump on board, because they like, damn, oh, you driving this, or you living here, so what you doing must be working. Let me jump on this. It gives us some form, it gives us a vision, because the young Jewish boy that's growing up, he knows that now he's 13 years old. So now he's going to inherit certain things, and he's going to be taught how to deal with those things. So he's not going to go out and buy a drop top Beamer. He's not going to go to the Da Vinci store. He's not going to go to the Gucci store. You see? And the Chinese do the same thing. The Japanese do the same thing. The Russians do the same thing. This is why these people run certain facets in society. Like I said earlier, Bitcoin is ran by the Chinese. They control the technology, the blockchain technology, and the mining of it. I'm pretty sure the people who sits at the top tiers of this are just people from different families. Just like what we like to call the Illuminati. They're nothing but families. They're nothing but families. The Rothschilds is a family. They're a family.
Let me add to that, and you hit it on the nose. You know, the number one problem in our society, what DS said, no trust. And that's on the organic and on the commercial side, because trust, like I said, to me, it busts in so many different directions. Yes, it involves finances, an actual corporate body of politic, but it also is organic. And like he said, can I trust you? Can I trust you that if I'm about to fall and you can catch me, you're going to catch me and not let me bust my ass? So it has many forms, but the two forms I'm dealing with is, one, we're not going to get nowhere without trust. The number one problem in all of our communities collectively is there's no trust. And that's not to bring anybody into the situation, but at the same time, on a commercial level, you hear all of the different arguments over people who feel they were robbed because of trust. Accounts, and how do these things work? And how do I know that I can gain from this? And someone's not going to rob me when forming these things and give me the proper information. Then when you listen, I'll quote Jay-Z. He said it's a secret society. All we ask is trust. So whether you're for or against the so-called Illuminati, one thing that I'll say is they do have a trust system. They know how to trust each other long enough to get something done. Whereas they have the so-called righteous people divided. And we don't know who to trust, so to speak. So on the organic side, that's the first thing. It's agriculture. You have to establish the organic trust amongst people, so then that it can manifest itself onto the commercial side of forming a corporate body trust. And then it starts on the organic side, because once that's or let me break it down like this. Any house that's built on a stable foundation is going to stand. So it starts with the organic trust, and once that foundation is stable, that you can trust, like he said, that uncle is going to show up at that reunion and put that money in the pot, because the organic trust is real. Now you can work together as a family unit or a group unit to form a trust. And yes, Asia is running the world. They're the ones that setting the trends. They just back their finances by gold, as well as controlling of the Bitcoin and the mining programs and things of that nature. But that's mainly because Asia followed, I would say, more so the Booker T model: science, technology, engineering, and math. And that's not to take anyone's narrative, because I didn't coin the phrase, and I'm not the first one to bring that, but it just coincides with the topic that we're talking about. The things we need to deal with is definitely being more scientific about what we're doing. Our people need to learn more technology, right? And we definitely need to be engineers, and we got to know the math. So the basic foundation and principle laid in the STEM program with Booker T is what the Asians utilized in order to take over the world. More so now in embryo, but in the near future, you're going to see that most of the financial, banking, and trust policies is really being dictated by Asia. And I'll say this in passing. Look around you in your house right now. We're on computers. You got refrigerators, clocks. Look on the insert of every single one of those products. You're going to find that they have been manufactured in Asia somewhere, or India. We don't make anything in the United States corporation outside of Silicon Valley and computer software. All of the hardware is now outsourced. And everything you're running off of, these computers, most of the chip technology on the inside of them were designed by young Asian kids. So if we don't catch up and break free from the so-called black status, and again, I'm not claiming moral science or anything, but that formula is correct when understanding the corporate aspects of law and the colorable law or color code system that they put behind certain races of people based on different intellectual knowledge. So because black people are uneducated and trust their adversary for all knowledge, they're subjugated to their terms and policies. And the only way to break free from that is to self-educate ourselves and then come back together in the group, form an organic trust, and then build onto a commercial trust so that we can place the things that we're building. If you build it, they will come together and be a benefit to even others outside of ourselves. And then that's when you're winning. Because it's one thing to be self-sufficient, but what happens when you're so self-sufficient you can help somebody else? Those are the most powerful people, the people that could take care of their own people, but also be a lending hand when someone outside of their group may need help. And that's where power comes from.
Anybody want to touch on that? Well, I'm gonna say this. All of that stuff is true. It's the truth, man. And this is why, I have to say this. And it may sound cliche, but this is why I say, my motto is healing before building. Because we have to restore the trust, that organic trust. We have to establish that again with us. So we have to go through a lot of counseling and learn how to get over certain things that we went through with each other. So we can establish that organic trust and then get down to business, which is the building part. So, what we talking about right now is extremely important, man. It's extremely important. It's something that, we should not just look past, because I saw today somebody when I first set the show up, somebody came in the chat and put that, rites of passage is no longer needed. And I was hoping this person, if you're listening, please come in the chat. You definitely could join the conversation. And I wanted to get that person's perspective on why the rites of passage is no longer needed. Because as you can see, everybody who kept their culture has a rites of passage, and those are the people who's running things in society. And see, the people who what we have to understand is the people who contribute to society and contribute to certain facets in society, those are the ones who help create policy. And we, as Black people, we always talk about how we are affected through legislature, but we don't have the favor of the lobbyists because we don't have any corporations. We don't have any trust. We don't have these things for the lobbyists to say, we'll listen to these group of people. That's just like a couple of years ago in New York, a young guy, he got killed by an Asian cop, a Kai Gurley. He got killed by an Asian cop, Peter Liang. Now, when this guy didn't get convicted, that showed how powerful this man had politically. And that's because of the community he belongs to and their trust. And how and how those things help you in the courts, like Brother Dollar Skills broke down. So we definitely got to get it together. What's up,
Well,
bro?
let me real quick. I'm gonna say this because I'm a bounce, but I'm gonna say this real quick. And I love my good brothers, JT, brother Rob. I appreciate you, DS. But what you said right there, it is the key. Now, the topic of whether rights to passage is needed or not is a whole nother topic, and I'd love to hear that person's perspective as well. But I will say this: you have no rights of passage without trust. If you have no will, and I'm talking not just on the corporate side, if you have no will on the organic side, nothing's getting done. And if you can't trust the people you need to push that willpower, then nothing's getting done. That's the organic side. But on the legal side, what he said in regards to the family who lost their relative to the police officer, what people are not realizing is anytime you do actually see a black get any compensatory award for wrongful death when it comes to the police, because many times on the criminal side, the prosecution fails to bring the justice to the police officer because they have a trust and they have an insurance policy to cover any act that they do while they're in their official capacity. But the families that win these lawsuits, when you hear they get 10 million, et cetera, they get with attorneys who are setting up trust funds. And I'll say this last thing on the outro. The reason trust is important in very simple layman's terms is you're not even allowed to have a certain amount of money past a certain amount at the state level unless you have a trust. And because blacks don't, they remain impoverished. They remain at a certain tax bracket, a certain income bracket, and what could be taxed based on income. And they fail to rise above a certain political status with any legislative power because of the way that they represent themselves to the state when trying to push for new laws and changes and push that political willpower. Formula wise, they're not doing it properly because they're not stepping to the legislator in the form of a trust with group economics and labor power behind their will to push a thing, so nothing is getting done. So again, if you have no organic will, you can't push anything. If that will is not supported with a trust support system, it's going to fail. That's the organic side. If you don't have a will on the legal side to place your property to your specific loved ones, etc., upon your death, you don't have a right to pass. So these things are important if we go to the topic of the show. If you don't have a will or a trust, and of course, many other things, a proper cultural understanding, spiritual understanding, and many other aspects and facets, you don't have a right to passage. And our people are failing because they've lost touch with these many different principles, while others are winning the race because they are absolutely entertaining, exercising, and any other term you want to use, these different principalities to their people's benefit. And we fail because of lack of knowledge. And I want to say peace. Salute to everybody in the chat. Much love, DS. I will definitely come on many other shows with you, my brother. Love you, brother Rob. You know, keep pushing and let's just build it up. JT, you know it's love. Salute to y'all, man.
I appreciate it, brother. I appreciate it, man. You always welcome here on Sheep Stay Sleep TV, bro. I appreciate it.
Yes, sir. And so I wanted to weigh in. I was looking for that affirmation that I was telling you about, but I just couldn't find it. So no doubt eventually I'm gonna find it and I'm gonna share with the family. I feel like it's powerful. But anyway, speaking on rites of passage, uh to young black men, I would just tell them in a ceremony, if we was imagining a ceremony form, you know what I'm saying, it's a young black kid growing up in an urban area somewhere, you know, brother, I tell him, brother, had the courage to dream bigger than your circumstances. That would be the number one thing. It's it's so funny how when you start investing uh, uh, pride in a kid, when you start investing interest in them, asking them all kind of questions about where he been and where he trying to go and what he trying to do. And man, you know what I'm saying? What's up with you and your girl? What's up with you and your boyfriend? Y'all things work. When you get that kind of relationship with them, how easy it is to suggest other things to them once you really know them. You see what I'm saying? Now, me, I'm only one person, but I can tell you right now, bro, that I do it just like this. Not phony. This really me, Joe. You know what I'm saying? People know me. People that know me, if they heard me talking, they'd just laugh and be like, "Yeah, that's that nigga." I talk like this all day, every day, Joe. You know what I mean? But anyway, uh, if you would just invest your time in just one young person at a time, tell them, man, dream big, kid. What you good at? You good at math? Good. Man, you need to start a CPA so that somebody could eventually, that stay clean, we can run them for state treasurer. You see? Because right now, if you would just think about it for a second, right? Right? I man, enemy, you know what I'm saying, politically, socially, economically, you know what I'm saying, media wise, you know, in the justice system, all the systems that Nelly Fuller talk about, right? Uh 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 they weak right now. Really, really weak. You know what I'm saying? And with all these midterm elections coming up right now, your vote really do count right now. You know what I'm saying? It really do. You know what I'm saying? And the people that's going to office, you could basically use your vote as leverage to direct some real deal resources into the community, right? But guess what? Here go the problem. This the problem. Nobody thinking big enough to start putting the solutions together to have our kids putting solar cars together, to have your whole house running off of solar panels. Nobody thinking that big. Nobody thinking big enough to say, hey, y'all on the west coast of Africa, y'all produce the best coffee in the world. Hey, why don't we start an international coffee company? Oh, you see what I mean? You see what I mean? Nobody's thinking that big. That's the problem. We got to think bigger than our circumstances to overcome them. We got to get in front of at least one curve, fam. We see it coming. You know what I'm saying? Eventually, it's not going to be any currency. So it's any paper currency. So it's only wise of us to start a credit union so that we'll be able to transact our own money with us and us alone. You know what I mean? Like we know the failure really coming because these shareholders and these people that's in high offices in this credit union that we got nationwide and shit, it's competing with Chase because this where black folks put their money. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, that's just a dream, right? But anyway, if you was just to take, you know, Puffy, Jay-Z, and 50 money together, you know what I'm saying? That's close to about 3 billion. It only costs 250 million to start a credit union. Anyway, you know what I'm saying? Here goes some facts, right? Because people be, you know what I'm saying, oh man, with this preaching and shit. Here goes some numbers for you, right? White males, they make up 31% of the population. Out of that 31%, white males make up 17% of all high school graduates. If you uh affixing the numbers for age and graduates, you see what I mean? Right. So Then you break it down to Fortune 500 companies. White males are the CEOs of 97% of Fortune 500 companies operating in the world right now. Right now. So there is something that those young men are getting, you know what I'm saying? Because the numbers don't lie. That's not Brother Rob trying to put us down or pump them up. Those are the numbers, people. You can Google search it, look in Fortune 500, whatever the fuck you can do the research if you like. You know what I mean? I'm just telling you, and I'm stating it as a fact tonight, right? Those young men are getting something at a very young age that somehow orientates them to be the runners of all things: media, technology, the judicial system, whatever you want to say, sports franchises. There is something that's orientating those young men to ownership and domination. So I would simply suggest, because as for me and my house, as you know, they say in the Baptist church, you know what I mean? As for me and my house, I have two young men at home, you know what I'm saying? And I know I'm saying this somewhat sarcastically, but I mean this from the bottom of my heart, right? I'm not sending my sons to college to get a job. They gonna come home and create jobs. That's what they gonna do, fam. You know what I mean? We starting a legacy of our own. And I trust that what I've taught them and what I stand for is going to stand when I'm gone. You know what I'm saying? That's what's going to live when we gone. Our words. In the African tradition, we don't really die. You know what I'm saying? We simply transform. You know what I'm saying? That's what I hold on to. Like I say, I take the good out of everything and I leave behind what I feel like don't benefit me. But in a terms of a rites of passage dealing with the topic tonight, I would simply say that we teach our young people self-respect and have the courage to stand up no matter what nobody else saying, no matter what nobody else doing. You stand. That's what you do for what's right, not because somebody gonna make a statue or something like that. You just do it because it's right.
Want to touch on anything, JT?
Yeah, good look. I appreciate that. But touch more on Brother Rob and everybody else say, I think for me personally, organically, we gotta love ourselves. And when we love ourselves organically, it's going to reflect on our kids. And we gotta trust ourselves wherever what we done that is foul in the past and transform ourselves. Then that's when the process of trust comes in organically. I think that really stands for me because like we all have flaws, but I always was the one like about accountability. And we have to understand that organically we gotta be more personally responsible. We have to invest in ourselves. See, it doesn't make no sense that I'm sick, but I'm telling y'all to take care of yourself, but I'm sick. That don't make no sense. So organically, we have to invest in ourselves. And then when we invest in ourselves, and then we will have the foundation to trust of each other. But we gotta trust of ourselves to say that, okay, what I'm doing is not right. And it goes for me that look at the families, the DuPonts, like you said, the Rothschilds, the DuPonts, um, the Hughes and stuff like that. Now, despite some of them had passed policies that is definitely didn't work for our favor, but they rely on themselves and it spread out to the family. And also, fam, we have to understand about paperwork. We got to stop listening to other people who do not bring paperwork that is not helping our community. Bringing documents to impact our community. Because follow each other analogies that, especially we don't see no paperwork or we don't see no finance, don't see no economics goes with it. We still going backwards. If you're all about that work, let's do it. Let's stop following analogies that is not profitable for us as a people. Let me say it again. Let's stop following other analogies that is not profitable for our community, for our families, our community, and our nation. Thanks again. Appreciate that.
No doubt, no doubt. But yeah, I see brother Rob left. I'm not sure if he gonna get back on or not, but I appreciate everybody. Yeah, there you go, brother Rob. Got anything else you want to touch on before I close out, bro? Cause I know it's getting a little late, and I don't want to keep people too much longer. So you got anything you want to touch on before we close out?
Yeah, yeah. Nah, I just wanted to say, good night to everybody, and man, I wish everybody well. All is well with me. I'm, man, just low key chilling. I'ma stay fired up, bro. You know what I'm saying? Wish me luck, man. My team, next weekend we should be going into the championship game. Everything go right in the playoffs, man. You know what I'm saying? So that's it. And then we also got a fundraiser that's coming up, man. And man, I love to touch on it this week with you, man. So I'll holler at you, man. But I work for the Circle Foundation. We got a gala that's coming up. Most of our funding comes from the public. You know what I'm saying? That funds what we do with the kids. So this is just the time of the year where we ask, you know what I mean, that people can give whatever they got. I got dollar raffle tickets to where you can be in the pot to see if you can get the money. I swear to goodness on everything good. You know what I'm saying? That if you win, I'll pay you. You know what I'm saying? If you buy a raffle ticket from me, I got about 30 left. And you can always make independent donations to the Circle Foundation. You know what I'm saying? That's circlefoundation.org. And yeah, like I said, our gala is coming up. It's the annual fundraiser for the year for the organization that I work for. We offer our services. It's an alternative school. We work through Youth Connection charter schools. But like I said, the majority of the funding, because we downtown, um, you know what I mean? We got incur a larger bill than the other schools, so to speak, that's inside of the neighborhood. You see what I mean? To provide a safe space for our kids to go to school, we willing to foot that bill. And so we just ask that people, donate as much as they can. You know what I'm saying? But whatever you got, we gonna keep it moving. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it ain't like, we gonna be begging. You know what I'm saying? We just make it happen. We don't even make excuses. We just make it happen. We just ask that people can do, whatever they can give. You know what I'm saying? It's love. If not, you know what I'm saying, positive energy. You know what I'm saying? Whatever it is. You know what I'm saying? But on that, I say good night to you, good brother.
No doubt, brother Rob. And just hit me up in my email, man. We definitely could set up a show, about that. So we'll promote that over here on Sheep Stay Sleep TV, bro. We always promote anything good that's for our people. So,
Yeah,
hit
no,
me up and we could do a show about that, bro. You know?
all right, man. That's love, fam. That's love.
No doubt, man. So have a good night, man.
All right, peace, good God.
Peace.
Yeah.
You want to touch on something, JT, before we close out?
Just want to say one thing too. I enjoyed this conversation. So I came a little late. I had to work, so I just got in and everything. When you sent me the thing, I really appreciate that. And I think the key is that the time is now, brother. We have the information. The question is, are we going to act on it right now, or are we going to let it pass by us as we usually do? Let's stop leasing our own minds and let's be our own capitalistic minds. Let's have the capitalist mindset. That's it. Appreciate you. Peace to you and your fam.
No doubt, bro. Salute to you too, man. And I want to appreciate all the brothers that came on tonight. Everybody who took part in this show tonight. I appreciate everybody in the chat for tuning in. I'm gonna go through the chat one time and shout everybody out. But before I do that, I want to definitely say rites of passage is definitely needed for our community. It provides structure for our community and it helps build a community, because that's what build all these other communities that these politicians speak about when they speak. When they're talking about communities, they're not talking about us, because we don't have a community. We're just, we're scattered. We're a scattered people. We don't have a community because we haven't we don't have a centralized idea. And that centralized idea goes back to our culture, and we've lost that. So I definitely think that rites of passage can implement or re-implement that in our children, for them to understand what they came from and where they should be going. So that's what I wanted to say on that tonight. Like I said, I appreciate my brother JT. Make sure y'all subscribe to the Underrated Darkness. Make sure y'all subscribe to Dollar Skills. Make sure y'all definitely subscribe to Brother Rob, the educator. Subscribe to all of these brothers. They all have content on their channels. Make sure y'all subscribe to them. I'm gonna start from the top, and I'm gonna shout out everybody, and then we gonna close out. Shout out to Derrick Morris. Shout out to my sister Black Beauty. Shout out to my brother Rob. Shout out to Triple Darkness. Shout out to my brother The Truth Hurts Podcast. Shout out to JB Back. Shout out to Cat PY2. Shout out to my sister Savine B. Shout out to Elm City. Shout out to my sister Nerg Live. Shout out to Living Soul Journey. Shout out to my brother Black Worlds. We don't shout out trolls. Shout out to Reign Supreme. Good to see you. Shout out to No Sleep Enterprise, my brother Uncle Shug. Shout out to Mama Rika for coming through and showing love. Shout out to Neanderthal Kodru. Shout out to you. Sorry if I mispronounced your name. Shout out to you. Yeah, that's about everybody. Shout out to everybody for tuning in tonight. I will be back tomorrow with another show here on Sheep Stay Sleep TV. Make sure y'all like, share, and if you haven't yet, please subscribe. And if you would like to donate, you can click that link right there, Streamlabs link. That's where you can donate, family. I appreciate everybody for tuning in. Y'all have a good night. Sheep Stay Sleep TV will be back tomorrow with a new topic. Y'all have a good night. Y'all have a good day at work tomorrow. Stay safe. Peace and love. We out.